the thing that really did motivate me to run was the fact that the Democrats escalated the war. Well, that they voted for it in the first place, that they gave George Bush a blank check, that they have talking about terrorism, they have terrorized our country. They have used fear, not just George Bush, but Democrats. They have used fear to mobilize the citizenry. People have given up their reason. They have given up their civil liberties, those precious civil liberties in the Bill of Rights. You know, no republic has lasted more than 300 years. And the reason they have not is because they have become empires. And that's exactly where we are now. It began in 1947 when the people who ruled this country after World War II, they looked at the situation around the world and they said, the United States has 6%, 5%, 6% of the world's population and controls more than 50% of the world's wealth, and we want to keep it that way. How can we do that? And they decided on two strategies. One was a national security state at home. Senator Vandenberg said to President Truman, if you want to go down this path, this of militarization and Cold War, then the way to do it is to scare the hell out of the American people. And Truman did. And so we adopted a national security state at home, putting aside the republic. And we adopted the policy of empire abroad. We now have military forces, U.S. military forces, at more than 1,000 bases in more than 125 countries around the world. At staggering cost, both financially and to our reputation. Because the United States is using covert operations in Colombia, in Iran, in Somalia, and other places in Africa, in the Philippines, in Sumatra, all around the world. The United States is using terrorism, its military forces, clandestine operations, terrorizing populations. We have to stop this. We have to demilitarize our society. I know it's not going to be easy. When I'm a member of Congress, one of the first things I would do, I would walk down the hall to Ron Paul's door, and I would knock on it. And I would say, Ron, I'm the new congressman from Washington. How can you and I work together to bring all of those troops home from around the world? Bring them back to the United States. Because Ron Paul has said that that's what he wants to do. I believe that we need to cut the military budget at least by 50%. And I would also rename the Department of Defense the War Department. It used to be the War Department, but they changed the name when they decided on this policy of national security state. It didn't sound right to have a War Department. But let's call it what it is. And Dennis Kucinich has said we might establish a Department of Peace as well. Maybe that would be a good idea to get those words out there. War and peace, which do we want? Which would we like to fund more? Just in the state of Washington, millions and millions of dollars go to the military-industrial complex, to businesses that are involved in that military-industrial complex. You remember President Eisenhower said, he warned about the undue influence, whether sought or not, by the military-industrial complex. It has come true. The military-industrial complex has its fingers in every congressional district in the United States. Ours more than others. And the military-industrial complex counts on the loyalty of congressmen. In fact, I've heard one commentator say that really our senators and congresspeople, their job is to keep the money coming to the military-industrial complex contractors in each state and district, so that employment can remain what it is. But think about what we could do in Washington State with the brilliant minds at places like Boeing, which is now focused on, besides its civilian airliners, military contracts. What if we turned loose those brilliant minds and asked them to help us design and build solar panels for every house in the 6th Congressional District within the next 10 years? How many thousands of people could we put to work in an industry that would benefit everyone in our district? We could lead the country. We could be a leading area of the world in that kind of technology. And we also have wind and wave. We have enormous resources of hydroelectric power. Why can't we have a mass transportation system? I live in Hoquiam, which is almost on the coast, so that people in Hoquiam and Ocean Shores could get on a train and they could come to Olympia, and then they could go on to Seattle. Right now those freeways are clogged with automobiles. Wouldn't it be wonderful if those freeways were also a place where public transportation, electric trains, could go? People here, Port Angeles, Sequim, Port Townsend, get on a train and get to Olympia and then turn left and go to Seattle. It would be terrific. And instead we've committed hundreds of billions, trillions down the rat hole of militarism. It's shameful. It's shameful what we're doing. Sure they could.
Aren't you going to Grace Harbor to talk to them?
I am going to go to the Grace Harbor Democrats at their meeting the beginning of August. Yes. I want to explain to my old friends, and it isn't as if I've divorced these people. I see most of them. But I just want to explain to them why it is I'm running as a Green and why it is that I'm running against Norm Dix in this district. In the 35th district, when Mary Lou Rickert ran, she went to the district Democratic meeting and asked for their endorsement. She lost by 1 vote. But they did give her money. So she didn't get the endorsement by 1 vote, but the 35th district did give her. She was running against Tim Shelton, I think, for 35th district.
So she was Green Party.
She was Green Party. Yes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Democrats could endorse a Green. I want Democrats to, especially progressive Democrats, to look around and ask themselves, what has the Democratic Party done to the people in their progressive wing? For the most part, they've taken those people, me, and I assume some of you, they have taken us for granted. They've said, where else can they go? They're going to vote for Republican? Nah, we've got them. They can't go anyplace else. So we don't have to pay attention to them. We'll put our attention someplace else. And I want Democrats, progressive Democrats, and any Democrat to understand that really we must send a message to the Democratic Party that we are capable of voting for someone else.